വെൽക്കം ബാക്ക് ടു ഇൻചാർജ് ലേണിംഗ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ബെനാസർ. അപ്പൊ ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ മറ്റൊരു വീഡിയോയുമായിട്ടാണ് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. സെക്രട്ടറി അസിസ്റ്റന്റ് നോട്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ ഒക്കെ വന്നല്ലോ അല്ലെ? അപ്പൊ നിങ്ങളെല്ലാം പഠനം സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, ചിലരൊക്കെ പഠിക്കാനായിട്ട് വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ളവർക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ വീഡിയോ. അപ്പൊ വീഡിയോ എല്ലാവരും ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചു കാണുക. Once again, welcome back to my channel. Shall we start? So first one, we have to know what are the circumstances that led to the formation of a Constituent Assembly. It was in 1934 that the idea of Constituent Assembly was put forward by M.N. Roy, a pioneer of communist movement in India. So M.N. Roy was a pioneer of Indian communist movement. He put forward an idea in 1934 in his newspaper Patriot. Which idea? The idea of Constituent Assembly. And later, before that, let us move to certain points of M.N. Roy. Shall recollect some points relating M.N. Roy. M.N. Roy was a pioneer communist leader. He was considered as, he is known as the father of Indian communist movement. He is the founder of Indian communist movement in India. Founder of Indian communist movement. Then he was known as, he is also known as a father of People's Plan. He introduced the People's Plan in 1945. Then the major book written by him is India in Transition. The main book written by him is India in Transition. And so this M.N. Roy, he in his newspaper Patriot, he put forward the idea of Constituent Assembly. That it was in 1934. Then 1935, the Indian National Congress for the first time officially demanded a Constituent Assembly to frame the Constitution of India. Later, International Congress in the session in 1935, they also for the first time officially demanded for a Constituent Assembly for the framework of framing out a Constitution for India. In 1938, the INC session, which was presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru, declared that a Constitution of free India must be framed without outside interference, and that too by a Constituent Assembly elected on the basis of an adult franchise. So, after that, in 1938, the Congress session led by Jawaharlal Nehru declared that India should have a constitution. That is, constitution free India should be framed out without any outside interference, and that too that Constituent Assembly should be elected, or the members of the Constituent Assembly should be elected on the basis of adult franchise. That means that is the adult franchise means the election that which is done, or the election for which is done for Lok Sabha and Legislative Assembly. That is those people who have the right to vote. So the Congress session that was on behalf of that is the 1938 Congress session, which is headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, declared the Constitution for India. Declared that the Constitution of India free India should be framed by the Constituent Assembly, that too without any outside interference, and that by a Constituent Assembly, and this should be on the basis of an adult franchise. Then after that, this demand was finally accepted by the British government on as August of 1940. As August of 1940, the British government accepted this demand. And this August offer, during this August offer, it was during the August offer of 1940 was during the period of Lord Lillington. Then Stafford Cripps, who was a member of the cabinet, came to India with a draft proposal British government to frame an independent constitution for India. But this proposal was rejected by Muslim League. Because they wanted to separate constitution. They want to frame two separate constitutions, so they rejected this proposal, which was forwarded by the British government. Next point you have to recollect is the cabinet mission. The Constituent Assembly was set up under the cabinet mission, under the provisions of cabinet mission. The Constituent Assembly was set up under the provisions of cabinet mission. And the cabinet mission came to India in 1946 March 24. So cabinet mission came to India in 1946 March 24. So this cabinet mission was the one who set up the Constituent Assembly, or who set under this provision of cabinet mission, Constituent Assembly was set up. Then this cabinet mission the main aim of cabinet mission to frame a constitution to help the Indians to frame a constitution to help the Indians to frame a constitution. Then the Constituent Assembly was set up on December 6, 1946. December 6, 1946, the Constituent Assembly was set up. Then the first meeting of Constituent Assembly was held on December 9, 1946. December 9, 1946. And here, the members of the Constituent Assembly were 389. So, the total strength of Constituent Assembly fixed by the cabinet mission was 389. Of this, 17 members were women. And while considering the number of Malayalis, 17 Malayalis were there. Of these, 3 were women. So, of the 17 Malayalis, 3 were women. And of it, these 3 women, who are the 3 women? You have already studied those facts. So we understood that the Constituent Assembly was set under the provisions of cabinet mission, and that cabinet mission was sent to India on 1946 March 24. And the Constituent Assembly's first meeting was conducted, or the Constituent Assembly was set up on December 6, 1946, and the Constituent Assembly's first meeting was held on December 9, 1946. The members of Constituent Assembly, according to the cabinet mission, the members of Constituent Assembly, 389 members were there. Of this 389 members, 17 members were women. And as we are considering about Malayalis, of the 389 members, 17 were Malayalis, and of these 17 Malayalis, 3 were women. The 3 women were the Malayalis, who were the 3 women. It is Ammu Sominathan, Dakshayani Velayathan, and Annie Meskin. Annie Meskin, Ammu Sominathan, Dakshayani Velayathan were the 3 Malayali women who were present in the Constituent Assembly. Then the Malayali who represented the United Provinces in the Constituent Assembly is Dr. John Mathai, whereas the Malayali who represented the Kochi in Constituent Assembly was Panampalli Govinda Menon. So that is all regarding about Constituent Assembly's members. Then this Constituent Assembly, the first meeting was done on December 9, 1946. You have know the facts that that meeting was presided, or the meeting was the chairman of the first meeting was a temporary one. No, for this Dr. Sachidananda Sinha. So Dr. Sachidananda Sinha was the oldest member of the Constituent Assembly, was elected as a temporary chairman of Constituent Assembly. Later, the permanent chairman, who became the permanent chairman, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, became the permanent chairman of the Constituent Assembly. And then the first person to address the Constituent Assembly is J.B. Kripalani. J.B. Kripalani was the first person to address the Constituent Assembly. Then next fact is, the Vice President of Constituent Assembly was H.C. Mukherjee. Who was the Vice President of Constituent Assembly? That is H.C. Mukherjee. He was the Vice President of Constituent Assembly. Then you have to understand the most important fact is a constituent advisor in the Constituent Assembly's constituent advisor was B.N. Rao. B.N. Rao was the constituent advisor of the Constituent Assembly. Then you have already these ideas of these facts. So just recollect all these facts. Now next we are moving to the committees. The Constituent Assembly was divided into 22 committees. So this one important committee is the drafting committee. This drafting committee was the chairman of this drafting committee was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So this drafting committee plays a major role in the framing of a constitution for India. This drafting committee was set up to frame a constitution, to draft a constitution for India, and the chairman was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The Constitution Assembly was partly elected and a partly nominated body. So it was a partly elected and a partly nominated body. So you have to understand the fact it was a Constituent Assembly was a partly elected and a partly nominated body. Then the next thing is Constituent Assembly adopted Constitution on November 26, 1949. Constituent Assembly adopted the Constitution on November 26, 1949. So November 26 considered as a law day. Then the Constitution came into being on January 26, 1950. Constituent Assembly adopted Constitution November 26, 1949. So November 26 considered as a law day. Then the Constitution came into being on January 26, 1950. And the original Constitution had 394 articles, 8 schedules, and 22 parts. That's all about Constituent Assembly. It took 2 years, 11 months and 17 days to frame the Constitution of India. According to PSC's answer key, it is 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. The next point is, the cover page of Indian Constitution was designed by Nandalal Bose. Then the draft of Indian Constitution was favored by B.N. Roy. Then the calligraphy of Indian Constitution, that is original written Indian Constitution, was by whom? Prem Bihari Naren Raista was who wrote the original Constitution. That is calligraphy of Indian Constitution is by whom? Prem Bihari Naren Raista. And the next one, we have studied about the drafting committee, and of the drafting committee's chairman is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And we have known the other members of drafting committee were K.M. Munshi, Muhammad Sadullah, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Dr. B.P. Keithan. The members of the drafting committee were Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, chairman, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyengar, N. Gopalaswamy, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar. So the members of drafting committee were Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, chairman, N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Dr. K.M. Munshi, Sayyid Muhammad Sadullah, N. Madhav Rao. He replaced B.L. Mittal, who resigned due to ill health. And other one is T.T. Krishnamacharya. He replaced B.P. Keithan, who died in 1914. That's all about Constituent Assembly. So today in this class, we were studying about Constituent Assembly, the major major facts related to Constituent Assembly. So in the next class, we shall move to the preamble and other related aspects. So hope you have understood. So let's see in the next class. Till then, bye from me. Thank you.